Hi everyone, my name's James. I'm the Marketing and Communications Lead here at Q Touring. Thank you for joining us on the second tour guides of this series for 2026. This session is focusing on the newly announced Q Showcase applications that we opened just yesterday here in March. Before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land of which we're all meeting tonight. We're currently in Brisbane, Mianjin, the Q touring office, which is home to the Yagara and Turrbal people. I'd like to extend my acknowledgement to any First Nations people joining us now or in this later session. If you're watching this back, and feel free to pop in the chat where you are zooming in from. It's always lovely to hear where everyone's coming from across the state or the country. I'm James. I'm the marketing communications lead. I said that before, but I'm kind of helming a lot of the showcase information stuff tonight. I'm joined by a couple of the staff here at Q Touring. I'll let them introduce themselves and just make sure that you unmute yourself before you speak, everyone. But I'll throw to Suzanne from Stage Queensland, who is working across the Q Touring Q Showcase and conference.
Hello everyone. As James said, I am Suzanne. I'm the Executive Officer of Stage Queensland, and I am delighted to be here online to perhaps if there's some really curly questions you would like to throw at us, maybe my huge old age experience with touring may be able to assist. Thank you.
Jamie?
Hi everyone, my name's Jamie. I'm the producer and tour and engagement advisor here at Q Touring. I would also like to acknowledge that we are on stolen land and that sovereignty has never been ceded.
Hi everybody, my name's Nat. I'm a Cubby Cubby, Koongaree, Baili and South Island woman and First Nations producer / community liaison for Q Touring. Lovely to meet you all and see you all tonight.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have a look at Showcase. So Q Showcase Arts Market and Conference, the full title. It's our annual showcase event that we'll be running this year in Logan City, across the Logan Entertainment Centre and Kingston Butter Factory. It is a 2.5-day program that involves one big showcase day, which is kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight, where we hear from artists and producers from across the state with their tour-ready works, and it'll be a collection of pictures, excerpts, company updates, and the likes. And then the next day, the third day generally, is a big conference session, but there's a really big program that we work on each year, and much more of that information will come down the line. I'm going to jump over to our website and show you a little bit more about this year's conference. If everyone see that? So everyone can see that? Wonderful. Yeah, so Q Showcase Arts Marketing Conference, yeah, Logan Entertainment Centre and Kingston Butter Factory on Yagara Country. Now, some key dates, I'm going to flag them now. Applications are open. If you're watching this in the month of March 2026, applications for Showcase are open. That's different from delegate registrations, which will be something we'll provide a little bit more information about down the line. Right now is the virtual information session. So again, if you're here with us, thank you for joining us. Now, applications closed. Date that we have applications closing for this year is Tuesday, the 31st of March, so the end of March. Last year we did extend this date because of a certain cyclone. It is coming up on 1 year of that this week, and I'm really hoping we don't have to do the same thing again. So unless something crazy happens, it's definitely closing Tuesday, 31st of March. So don't wait around for an extension date just in case. And then we will be aiming to notify everyone about the outcomes the week commencing of 27th of April. That might be a little bit earlier. There's every chance it could be a little bit later, but we're going to make sure it's as early as possible and we can get this showcase on the road. So for those who haven't been to a showcase or a Q showcase before, this is the Queensland Q Showcase, the Queensland Showcase. It's the only statewide performing arts market for and by Queenslanders. As mentioned before, there's lots of keynotes, panels, workshops. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good time. Presenters will be there from across the state, which is primarily, I guess, a lot of the audience that we will be you'll be pitching to if you're successful. There's also a lot of other opportunities around that, which we'll get to soon. If you haven't been to the website already, if you go Q Touring Initiatives Showcase or Arts Market 2026, that's where all of this information that we're going to be going through is going to be held. I saw this is a question about the application, but I will jump into that, or we'll go through the full thing and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. Hopefully we'll have answered it by the time we get to it. So our website, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the guidelines. The guidelines are probably a really good way to break down what we're looking at this year. So if you go to our website, you can check out our application guide. It's also linked in the application form as well. So it's a really good one to be across. It's a PDF that you can download and save to your laptop or whatever you would like. There's a bit of information about this year's showcase and how excited we are to be hosting it in Logan this year. Last year it was in Toowoomba and the year before it was in Caloundra, so it does move around every year. We try to spread the love across Queensland a little bit there. Those are those dates I talked about before. Now we're going to jump into how to apply. Who here, like on the call, has a Q Touring account already? That's probably a good place to start. But 1, 2, 3, that's great. So far the odds are looking really good. I'm going to really give you a really quick kind of breakdown on how to go through this application process. So what you will do, I'm going to log out. So you log in to your Q Touring account. If you don't have an account, you can register. If you're applying for Showcase, generally you are an artist or a producer. That's what you need to create a work. I'm a presenter. That's generally for Queensland venues or festivals. So it's rare that you'll need to make a work if you're a presenter. We do have some presenters that also create work as well. And if you do that, there's some information I can share with you later about how to cross those things. But for the meantime, in this instance, you're an artist and producer. You want to be looking for that green screen. You create your account through that. So put in an email and password. It'll send you a little email to make sure that you can verify your account, and then you get to log in. And this is what your login portal looks like. My legal name is Quentin Touring. James Bartlett is just a front. It's just very convenient that I have ended up in this role here at Q Touring. So it says welcome, which is really polite. There's a little notification at the top there, which is going to tell you all about Showcase in case you're not watching this presentation. When you create your account, it's going to ask for a bunch of account details. It'll kind of look a little bit like this. This is not your and this is not the Q Showcase application. This is just the information about you as a presenter, as a producer, as an artist. It'll ask you for your bio, where you're based, if you have any Facebook or social media links there. You'll have a primary contact and then a secondary contact there as well. That's what it will look like when you create an account. So don't be fooled. That's just to create an account. If you already have an account, don't need to worry about that. You've probably already done it. Now, as it says in the application guide, so you create your account, make all your artist details and stuff. Next, we're going to have a look at works. Now, I won't go into too much detail because we have covered this a little bit in other sessions. And if you go to resources on our website, there is actually a resource all about creating an artist profile and uploading a work to Q Touring. So if you need any more details on that process, make sure you jump into our resources and refer to this kind of 3-step guide. It's really handy, really simple. It seems like a lot at the outset, but once you're in, it's so much easier. I have 2 works that I'm working on here. One is called Amazing Queensland Work. One is called Draft Work. They're all working titles, so please don't sound off too hard in the comments. But when you create a work, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a lot of forms. I'm so sorry. But About your work, again, work listing guidelines, we'll cover that a little bit. Actually, no, let's jump into it now. So firstly, who is eligible for QShowcase? There's a few things here. So to get a work on the Q Touring website or to apply for QShowcase, there has to be a few things. So your work must be a Queensland work. So that's based with Queensland-based artists that make a significant contribution to its development. It's mainly developed and or was first presented in Queensland. It is produced by a Queensland-based company or producer, and or it tells a Queensland-based story. So those are the criteria we're looking for to basically determine your eligibility for your work to be uploaded to the website and to apply for QShowcase. The work must perform, so it's a live performance element. It works in a theatrical environment. The audience can interact with it and or it activates public spaces. And then the work must be original, must be your work, original concept from the artist. If it's an existing work, it's adapting into another art form. It can be a new production of an existing work and or the production premiered in the last 3 years or is currently touring. So those are all the kind of requirements for what kind of work you're looking to upload to the website. And here's just, if you keep going down on that, there's a bunch of little like common things we see in terms of the little details about the works, but I'll leave you to check that in on your own time. So your work form, you put in your title, a synopsis about it, marketing tagline, any credits or acknowledgements, i.e. who the director is, who the producer is, composer, the casting. You can then select art forms there. We've got a bunch for you to choose from. You can also submit your own. Some information about what your target audience is, age groups, demographics, touring information. So when it's touring, you might be planning to tour this work until 2028, and then you're going to be doing it a different way or doing work in a different work. How long the duration is, whether it has an interval, this can be optional. How many shows you can perform a week, how big your touring party is. Then you can talk about what kind of venues you're looking to put in, how big are the audiences you're looking to perform for. And then you can submit a bunch of marketing information, which I love. What's unique about your work, what kind of promotional stuff you can supply to presenters to help sell your work when they're putting it on. What kind of engagement, so community engagement beyond the performance you can provide. Tech specs, what critical information presenters need to know about your work. Bump in details. All of this, I'm telling you all of this essentially because this relates to your work and you'll be submitting your work as part of your showcase application. So it all ties into itself. We've tried to make the actual showcase application quite short because a lot of the information is going into your work profile here. I keep doing this because that's where my screen is. I hope there isn't something weird on the side when we bump this video out. Now costs. Costs, we do require a budget for your work to go live in the directory. Now this budget has to be the Q Touring tool, budgeting tool. You can link to that there. Oh, there it is, the big download budget tool. If you have any questions about the budget tool, last month's tour guide session was actually all about this tool and budgeting and how to use it. It's really great. We spoke to someone from Counterpilot, an independent producer who has used the tool before and was helping break that down. So if you have any questions about the costing and the budget, this is where it all is. We have a bunch of resources as well about fee and royalties and different models you can use. If you're wondering about how you want to set up your budget for that, that's another one of our resources called Financial Models and Sell-Off Fees. You can find that in the resources tab on our website. But yes, we do require a budget. That's usually the big kicker for this the work uploads. We require you to tell us how many works per week, or how many performances, how much money per week, or per performance, remount costs, royalty percentages. All of these are kind of optional for you to put in, so you might not select to have them all be front facing, but we do require you to mention them in the budget. That's just for us to assign a cost range to your work. If you go to a work on the Q Touring website, this is what the directory looks like. I highly encourage you to jump in and have a look. So let's have a look. Brand pickup. In the cost there, it'll tell you the range. So that budget is just for us to check. It's not going to be a public thing that anyone can download, because ultimately when you're brokering your own tours, that's up to you as to how much those costs are, and it's obviously dependent on what kind of deal you're looking, what kind of model you're looking, just for us to be able to assign a cost range, and basically so that it's apples for apples when we're making recommendations when people filter via cost on the directory there. Yeah, so you upload your budget there. Oh, and I should mention now, if you have any questions about any of this process, any of the application process, uploading works, please get in contact with us. There's a contact Tutoring email prompt there, or you can actually book a meeting time with us as well. We're here to help make this layout and this application process as easy as possible. We're the state's advisory body, so we're here to help you. No question is a dumb question. I love a new question. That's always fun. A new challenge is always good. But please get in contact at any point across this process, and we will be able to help you there. Then resources. You have an opportunity to upload your resources. That can be, tech packs, education packs, marketing packs. That's stuff that can be downloadable on the front end of your work profile as well. From there, we go to images, which is just where we require a thumbnail and a hero image, no writing or logos or anything on that, ideally just photos. For that, you can upload a bunch of media that relates to your work in there as well. And again, you must own all the copyright for these images. Next, you can upload reviews, which is really great. It's a great feature. If you have media reviews, you can even link the actual review in there as well. And then you can input information about your touring history for this work, where you've performed it. You can link it to different venues that we have on the website already. So you can kind of have a little bit of a tour history on that work profile, which is really great to know, where a work has been touring, especially if someone's looking at it on our website. So yeah, once you go through there, because this is just a draft work, I'm leaving it as a draft work, you can save progress and you can submit work. Now, I'm just going to make it clear. When you're going through the process of adding a work in, you've got saving and you've got submitting. Submitting will basically just send it through to us to have a look, send it through to the QTouring team to have a look and make sure there's nothing crazy in there. There's no crazy numbers or you've missed something. It's pretty much just our approval process to make sure that it's fit to go on the website and everything's all good and we're not missing anything. If you don't press the submit button and you just have saved a work in there, it'll just sit as a draft like this one does here. When you go to your dashboard, so I have one that I've submitted and made unpublished, and then this is just a draft work. So draft works go straight in through the application form. So if you have a work that you're wanting to submit to QShowcase, and it might be embargoed or a work in development and you don't want it to be available on the front-facing part of the website, you can draft the work or you can submit it and then just make it unpublished and we can approve it and just leave it unpublished. You can still submit with that work. So you don't have to make your work public before you submit it to QShowcase. So that's just if you've got something that might be running at a festival and is going to be announced later, but you don't want people to be able to see it just yet, you can draft it or you can publish it and then just leave it unpublished and you can still submit for QShowcase. Now I'm going to go through the QShowcase process now. It's a lot of forms, but the great thing is once you've done the account form once, you only have to do that once. Once you've created your work, you can just go ahead and submit it to initiatives like QShowcase. So it's always handy to not have to wait for QShowcase to create works. You can do it any time of year, which is really wonderful. Do we have any questions so far about this part of the process? Creating an account, uploading a work? Nothing just yet. Cool. All right, let's jump into the QShowcase application. So if you scroll down your dashboard, that is QShowcase. So you can apply right here. So first question, does this submission relate to one of your works? Yes or no? So if you submit yes, that's where you can link one of your works here. So I've got my draft work there, and I've got my unpublished Amazing Queensland work there. This is for pitches and excerpts. So this form is for producers, artists, collectives, and companies who would like to perform or pitch an excerpt of a single work. Again, this work has to kind of fit within those guidelines that we talked about earlier. To assess the work's suitability for the program, we do use a curatorial panel, which will use the information in this application in addition to the information associated with that work. We have a really good curatorial panel of experienced industry presenters and producers of a really diverse representation that we use for this showcase, and we do cycle through different people each year, so it's not always the same people. So that's just a little bit of an insight behind the curatorial process and how we select who becomes a part of Q Showcase. So yeah, you can apply with multiple works. You might have 5 different works that you want to pitch, and you just want to pitch, one or the other. Separate applications will need to be completed for each proposed showcase if you want to do each work. Alternatively, we probably, if you have like 5 works that you want to talk about, we would probably encourage you to just apply for a profile or company update if you have a suite of works to discuss. Who is on the curatorial panel? That does change every year. At this stage, there's a private, it's a private panel, just so we don't have, I guess, for privacy reasons. Suzanne, do you have any more insight on the curatorial panel?
Yes, I'm just checking I'm off mute. Yes.
Yep, you're good.
Absolutely, it is. The names aren't being released until it's all done and dusted, but it is a mixture of presenters, producers, diverse representations, First Nations experts, and it's from regional and remote and metro presenters. So we try to focus on making sure that the whole of the sector is represented, depending on what they want. Some people with experts in, say, community engagement projects, some people, with different genre experts. So it's quite diverse.
Oh, there we go, my flight. Thank you very much, Suzanne, and thank you for your question, Nigel. Again, application guide there. Any questions, you can hit me up there. So yeah, if it's a pitch or an excerpt, that's the form. If you want to do a profile or an update, you just select no. And from there is our form. I'll go this way. So essentially, because you've put so much work into your wonderful work profile, we're not going to try and ask a whole lot of you in this process. It's more about you. This information, is going to be used to ensure that we have artists from a range of different backgrounds and experiences represented, both regional and metroly represented, as well as, again, a diverse range of genre of works as well. So yeah, tell us about where you live and work, which of the below best describes the shape of your work that it primarily takes: performance piece, so fly in, fly out, it's already made, or a community engagement model, which includes slow touring, residencies, community participation. So it depends on what kind of shape your work is in, what stage your work is at. So you can have something that is ready to tour. So this is a work that is already premiered, so a remount might be required. So you've already had a season somewhere and you're looking to take this on a wider tour, or you can talk about in development works. That's probably a little bit more applicable when I was talking about works that you want to upload but don't want to be on the public facing because you're still kind of working it out. So in development works are acceptable for Q Showcase purposes. Does any of the below apply to your work? So regional artists, First Nations, people living with disability, people from culturally or linguistically diverse backgrounds, and whether the work can be delivered in alternative spaces, so outdoors, with amphitheaters, etc. Or none. It can be none of the above if you really want. We ask you to outline any existing presenter interest in this work and or any past and future tours. So include both Queensland and national interest. So again, if you've premiered this already, you've done a season somewhere, if certain presenters have expressed that they're interested in your work already, it doesn't have to be Queensland. This is a great place to put it, so we know what kind of interest already exists for your work. If you can corroborate that interest as well with quotes, that's great. But maximum 150 words there. So do with it what you will. List any other interstate or national showcase markets where you have previously pitched this work. So maybe you were a part of APATS last year. Maybe this is work you had at APAM last week on the international front. So anywhere you might have showcased this work, both interstate and here in Queensland. And then you've got 100 words to just tell us anything else you would like to share with the Q Showcase curatorial panel. It might be some information that hasn't fit anywhere about the development of work, what makes the work special. You know, this is your 100 words to do with it as you please. Now, from here, we ask for an industry referee. So we ask you to advise the contact details of an industry member who can speak to the quality of your proposed work or existing practice. So this might be a presenter that's hosted your work before, a director that you've worked with, someone who has produced multiple of your works, you know, a mentor, an industry mentor. You have a real choice of who you can select for this. We will usually use that referee to just confirm some of the details that you provided in this process if required. So that's where you can put their details in. When it comes to showcasing preferences, we ask you to kind of tell us which you would prefer, pitch or excerpt, if you have a preference really. So here you can select first preference or second preference, or just I don't want to do a pitch, or don't want to do an excerpt. This is just because we do have a lot of works that we submit or that get submitted that we take on as part of the showcase, and depending on tech requirements and the way that we fill out that program on the showcase day, you might prefer a pitch, but we might only be able to accept that one for an excerpt or vice versa. But ideally, we want to try and cater as much to you as we can. And then you do have actually the option here as well to consider a pre-recorded 60-second spotlight. We did have a few of those last year, which were great. So if it's the kind of thing where you can't make it in person, but you would still like to submit a little spotlight of a work, I think we had Circa do one last year for Wolfgang and the Stars. So this can be a little 60-second video you submit. We'll play it as part of the showcase on that day. And then we do ask for some additional information for your application. This isn't used to assess your application, it's just more for us to figure out how the program of the day works. So technical requirements for your pitch. So you might have 2 cast members out of the 10 of your work that will be available in person, and they might do the duet or something like that. Or you might have someone interviewing you as part of your pitch or excerpt. You can really get creative with the way you present this. So we do ask for your tech requirements there. And then if successful, do you have any accessibility requirements to attend and or showcase at QShowcase? We will have a bunch of the accessibility details available. Actually, you can, on our website here, the other side of the work directory, if you haven't checked it out already, is the presenter directory, which has a bunch of Queensland presenters that if you're ever looking to try and get in contact with someone, this is where they claim their account and put all their details. And this year we are at Logan, and then you can actually go to Logan City Council. You can chat to Laura there if you really want. If you scroll down, there's information there about the Logan Entertainment Centre and the Kingston Butter Factory, which are the 2 venues that we are using this year for Showcase. And you can go through and they will actually tell you a lot about their facilities and formats there. So if you do have any questions, you can actually refer to those spaces there. It's very likely we'll be using the Butterbox Theatre and then some of the spaces around the Logan Entertainment Centre. Again, we'll provide a bit more details about that later. But if you do have any accessibility requirements, this is where you pop them in. And then we do just ask you to fill out the privacy statement here, so just agreeing that the information you provided can be used, published, and shared by QTouring for the purposes of assessing this application. If you're successful, you agree that this information can be edited and published in marketing or any other collateral to promote QShowcase, including brochures, program, webpage, use photos from your work, videos from your work. We'll also share this information with staff at Stage Queensland, which is our parent company, Arts Queensland, who also look after the service, Logan City Council, who are the venue contacts for this QShowcase, as well as the members of the aforementioned curatorial panel and any other relevant third parties involved in delivering QShowcase. So you just click ping and then subscribe to the QTouring newsletter. I really recommend you do that because I send that out and it hurts me every time I see a submission that doesn't come through. So the cool thing as well, if you fill out some of this information and you need to go away and get some more information from it, you can just you can save your application. So I think if I pop a lorem ipsum in here, I can save the work there. So if I go back to it later, there it is, my draft work application. I can jump back in and keep working on it. So you can start your application now, come back to it, and anytime before the end of the month, you can keep working on it. And then once you've completed everything you need to in there, you can submit it. And then I get a wonderful email in my inbox telling me that you have done that, and I get to check it out. It's really exciting. It's a really fun process. Yeah, and then also you can see past applications as well. So every year when we do run this, you can see what your other submissions were. So if you have the same work that you want to resubmit on a following year, you can kind of look at your application from last year. So that's all accessible there in your dashboard. It's a really fun place to hang out. Now I'm going to jump back into the application guide. Oh, stop sharing. I'm going to reshare that. So sorry, everyone. There we go. Application guide. Yeah, there's a little bit about the selection process and about a curatorial panel that we could talk about there. In terms of those opportunities, again, we kind of spoke about it a little bit when it came to the form. In the details, a pitch is 8 minutes. So you can tell us about a specific idea or work that you're actively trying to tour. An excerpt of a work is, a bit of a performance, a piece pulled from your work. We recommend finishing with a 1 to 2 minute pitch at the end of it, just so it's not just work without a context. That's a 10-minute window. There is the pre-recorded spotlight that takes 60 seconds, which we did mention before, and sometimes applicants who are not selected for a pitch, an excerpt, or a profile might actually be invited to submit this and might fit that kind of format better. And then I will also talk about the Locals Expo. So what we do usually over the lunchtime period of the showcase is we have the Local Expo. I'm going to change, no, that's correct, that's the right date, 23rd of June. Over an extended lunch, we have a bit of a market hall style setup where people are invited to talk in depth with showcasing artists and discover artists beyond the showcase program. So if you're in the showcase program, you can still be part of the Locals Expo and have a little stall there and talk more about works. Maybe you have other collateral you want to share that didn't make it into your pitch. It's a great opportunity to start those conversations early. And then for a lot of the applications that aren't successful, we do often invite locals to come be part of that expo as well. So last year we had a lot of people who weren't successful as part of the showcase, but that came along and still got a lot out of the showcase, which was really great as well. And now we know a lot of those people for future opportunities. It's a really great way to connect with the community around you there. It's just a half trestle table. You'll have access to power and a little sign with your name on it. All the other promotional materials that you supply there, you must bring with you. So we recommend keeping things pretty simple, so it's an easy pack down and set up. And materials that artists have used previously include business cards, flyers, banners, laptop screens, that kind of thing. Eligibility we've already kind of talked about, but it's reiterated there. Same eligibility requirements there for the profiles and updates or the Locals Expo. So you must be based in Queensland. Most of your work must be over the last 5 years developed in Queensland, mainly working with Queensland artists. They tell Queensland-based stories, or you must perform practice that is based in live performance, works with theatrical environments, audiences can interact with the work, and they activate public spaces. You have a little bit of information there about tech support as well, about what's available. Please note we are unable to facilitate any activities that will require a certified rigger. So don't come to us with any pictures that you need a rigger. We will not be able to accommodate for that. And in terms of excerpts as well, we will provide a 20-minute tech slot on the day before the session to help go through some of those. I've been told we have a few questions in the chat. That's very exciting. Let's have a look. Chat. Hello, hello. Here we go. Is it a tutorial? Yep. Here, plenty of great questions. Let's start with Nigel at the top here. Is there a view on whether it's better for a producer or an artist to be the lead applicant? Sorry, it's late joining, so you may have mentioned that. I haven't mentioned that. So welcome again, Nigel. Generally, it's up to you. We have both situations where perhaps the producer, who oversees it, has their account and they create all the works and home them there. But then again, obviously sometimes that does It's not always going to be with the same producer in some instances, so you might want the artist to be the one who provides that information. There's no real preference, really. It's just whatever works better for your system there. In the meantime, whilst we're doing that as well, I will just mention that we do have some fine print in our application guide here, which just basically outlines our privacy policy and terms and conditions, and the fact that we support the freedom of expression and welcomes diverse and differing views, provided such views are expressed lawfully and respectfully. You can find a little bit more about the fun fine print there. And then again, any questions at the end of that application guide, you can email me at any time. I'm on james@qtouring.com.au. Or if you want to reach out to Natalie, who is our First Nations producer and community liaison, you can reach out to her at nat@qtouring.com.au. And if you just want to be a part of the Locals Expo, you don't want to be a part of the showcase, if you decide you don't want to pitch or provide any of that kind of thing, you just want to pop up and have a really fun stall, just hit me up there and we'll be able to put you down for the Locals Expo. Now, question. Hello, Latonya. I have an outdoor show rigging question. We have an outdoor show where an important part of the dramaturgy of the work is that it is staged outdoors. We normally stage it around our freestanding aerial rig, fully spec'd by an engineer, and we have our own in-house qualified rigger. Is there any opportunity to showcase this work outdoors with the rig set, for example, at the Kingston Butter Factory grounds? I might throw to you for that one, Suzanne. Do you have any input on that?
Yeah, I think that is something that we would consider. It's, that's actually a new question, but I think we'll take that on board and we'll discuss that with the host venue, just from a logistics point of view, and we'll just discuss it with the broader team because, yeah, why not? If we can make it work and it's easy enough, we can think about that. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously we have a lot of last year we featured 21 works in our showcase. So we do have to try and make sure the flow of the day works well. So we'll try and it sounds great. It sounds exciting. And if we can do it, that would be great. Again, generally for the indoor stuff, we can't really do the rigging in there, but for an instance like that, we might be able to consider it. Actually, that's something that would be really good in that additional information miscellaneous box there, if you ask me. We have some more questions coming. Hello, thanks for the answer. In that case, should we highlight that in our application? Definitely. In that case as well, if you're successful and we can't facilitate, I'm sure we can find a new way to present that, a solution, whether it's filmed elements, whether it's something that you might fit into your pitch, something there. How long do you get to perform an excerpt? An excerpt is 10 minutes. So you can use that 10 minutes however you want for your performance. Again, generally, I think some of the best pitches that we've seen over the years are ones that do kind of include some of the information about the works in their excerpt, or they will have a performance element and then they'll run to the podium and do a bit of a presentation at the end there. So it's totally up to you. And again, we're hoping to, in a lead up to Showcase, work with some of the artists that we have successful at QShowcase on different pitching techniques and ways that we can help make sure that your pitch is the best possible. And especially if you're inexperienced with pitching as well, this is a really great and fun place to kind of do it for the first time. If you're new to arts markets, we're usually quite nice, and it's usually the Queensland community. We're very lucky, a very supportive community. So we'd love to be able to make sure that it's the best project and the best product that you can put forward and hopefully get some shows on the road. Does anyone have any other questions? I did have some that were pre-submitted as well, which I can just really quickly jump on. So do you need to submit a budget or can we submit our own? Yes, to go live on the Queensland Touring website directory, you do need to submit using that budget tool. I understand that some people will have their own like much larger and like kind of more complex budgets, but we do require a simple budget for that cost range kind of work. And again, if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to us at any time. What types of touring products tend to be the most successful at QShowcase? Solo artists, small ensembles, or themed collaborative programs? So for this, I mean, everyone is welcome. There's not one perfect size for this kind of thing. obviously with touring, you do have to consider like money constraints, like venue constraints, better thinking about tourability for Queensland. Smaller is cheaper, of course, but it's really about the spaces that you're going to. So there's no real kind of one size fits all or one definite answer for success there. It's really not about the product size. It's really about the hook in your pitch and about your work and how your work fits into a presenter's audience development strategy. So I think it's really more about how you sell your work there. From a presenter's perspective, what makes a QShowcase application stand out as tour ready rather than just a great performance idea? So I guess it's about how you define a tour ready work. Like it's easy to tell your work is tour ready if you've run it before, definitely. So if you've had a season somewhere, and you've been able to iron out, I guess, some of the kinks there. If you have testimonials and statistics from that as well, that's always really good for your application process. It's you have to have really the elements ready, and filling out that work form as well is usually a pretty good indicator that if you're missing stuff there, your work might not be ready for touring. And again, maybe developing some of those assets and extra bits around it is how you get your work ready for tour. So it's really up to you on that. Just make sure you have like, your marketing strategy, your budget, your tech specs, so on, ready for when a presenter will ask for it, especially a showcase. Having really clear parameters on what the show is and who it's for. But that being said, you don't have to have necessarily done a season or anything to be tour ready. Everyone does start somewhere, but you do have to have everything that shows that it's ready to go. And really that's what the Q touring work profile is all about. How important is touring history compared to the strength and of the concept and the team when assessing applications? So it's kind of similar to that previous question. So yeah, it's true that if someone has had previous success or a good reputation, there's a natural sense of trust from presenters, and if we're able to kind of verify the standard of your work and that you've got a really good reputation already, that's a really good kind of it's definitely of assistance, but equally the opposite is true. So if someone has a bad reputation for touring and has a pretty has had a pretty rough run on it, that also fits into it. Suzanne, did you have a hand that you put up there?
I did, James. I was just
Yes,
going to add
wonderful.
about just some thoughts on tour readiness. I have heard the presenter sector say time and time again about how, it can be the most wonderful, visionary, artistic product, but if it doesn't fit in our venue, then it's not fit for purpose, designed from the ground up with the intention of touring, which means it needs to have certain portability. It needs to be probably, not too enormous, but that depends on where it will be held ultimately. So there's a whole range of things from a very practical consideration. Can venues afford to buy it? Will it fit in their space? Is there an audience for it? All of those kind of considerations.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's a bit of there's a lot to consider when it comes to the tour readiness, I guess. Another question we did have here is how do you know if you're ready to submit for QShowcase, and how do you get to that point of readiness? Again, developing all the pieces for your work profile is a great first step. And even if you've never done it before, going to showcases. So QShowcase is obviously a very that's the one that I'm here to talk about right now. So even if you're not part of it, it's really great to come along and see what it's like, what the experience is like, and find out for yourself. You can always come and chat to us, and we can help analyze your work and help build that. That's exactly what Q Touring is here to do, to help artists get their work tour ready and get it on the road. And this is an avenue to help kind of broker a lot of those conversations. So feel free to chat to us. Recommend finding mentors as well in the industry, coming to our initiatives like tour guides like this, and we've had other ones like Gather Round, Black Chat, that you may want to come along to, and it's a really great way to kind of build your network as well. So if you and the other thing as well, if you come to us and we don't have an answer, we'll find an answer. We'll refer you to someone who has that answer. That's exactly what we're here to do. We've got a question from Erica. Can I just double check? Artists who are Queenslanders but who live interstate, their shows created interstate aren't eligible, are they? I think if you come back to these guidelines, so for the work must be a Queensland work. So Queensland-based artists is the kind of key thing there. So if you live interstate and develop this work interstate, I don't really think that fits the eligibility. It has to really be produced by a Queensland-based company or producer. The work has to be all like mainly developed or first presented in Queensland. So if it's got Queensland history to it, there may be grounds to consider it. And also kind of if it tells a Queensland-based story, that's something to consider as well. We're always trying to put Queensland stories to the front of the pack there. So yeah, in terms of eligibility, that's the kind of thing you want to look for. But if you are from Queensland, congratulations. If you live interstate, I'm so sorry, but that's okay. If you live interstate and the work was developed interstate, and there's no real Queensland ties to there, unfortunately, it's not really fit for this purpose. It's really about works operating out of Queensland at the moment. Yeah, but again, any questions like that, if you have any specifics, you can always reach out to us and we can help find you an answer and get a bit more clarity on that. Thank you, Erica. Do we have any other questions? No, it's looking pretty good. All right, well, I might leave it at that then. Thank you everyone who joined us on the chat tonight, really appreciate it. But Showcase is now in full swing, so go forth and create your works, send through your applications. I'm looking forward to hearing from you and to seeing these applications come through. And if we don't meet before, hopefully I get to see you at QShowcase in June. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night and talk to you soon. Bye.